What's up, buddy? It's what Jim. I'm joined by Brier's Music Showcase. We're supposed to be joined by Jason the Old Millennial, but unfortunately he's got power problems. But you never know, he might join in the middle of this live stream. But for now, it's just gonna be me and Briar. It's been a while since Brier's been on my channel.
Yeah, it has.
When was the last time?
Oh man, I feel like
I can't remember now.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was some kind of review. It might have been.
It might have been regular show.
It might. That might be it. That might be it. I can probably look real quick, but you can go ahead, keep going. I'll look through it.
We've got Nick in the chat. Over Nick.
Oh, hey Nick. We're excited for me and him are going to talk about Genesis tomorrow. We got something planned for that.
Well, I might go ahead and send Nick the link to the live stream in case he wants to go ahead and join.
Right. Yeah, maybe he can hang out afterward. Yeah.
But tonight's live stream, we're talking about different bands and artists and talk about which one we like more and why. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Well, I think we'll do one pick at a time, so Brian can go first, and I'll go with one of my choices. We'll do bands first of all.
Okay.
So I'll just send link to Nick. Yeah. Okay, so we might as well just get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, what's your first band to compare?
All right, first one. I'm gonna go with this one. It's you can either choose the Beach Boys or the Monkees, because I feel like those two bands they kind of get lumped together sometimes because there's a group of people that absolutely love them, but then there's people who kind of don't take them that seriously because there's a stigma with them. Of course, with the Beach Boys, it's always people like the normies associate them as just a surf rock act and nothing more. They don't really pay attention to like Pet Sounds or Holland or stuff like that. But of course, the real fans know. And same thing can be said with the Monkees. Well, people can say they're like this like disposable kind of. They're just a TV band. They're not a real band. So there's always a stigma you find with those bands every once in a while. But I feel like both of them are pretty have that similarity.
Are you including solo careers?
Not really. I didn't really include them.
Well, we got Nick with us, so hopefully he can give us an answer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Monkees, Beach Boys.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just in time for that.
I might have enough time to stay on for a little bit. I'm not sure how much I'll stay on for. But my answer will be the Beach Boys because, Pet Sounds, Sunflower, just that late 60s albums, like from 66 to 70, to me, outbeats anything the Monkees ever did. I mean, not to disrespect the Monkees. I think Monkees had a great discography, especially the 66, 67, 68 years. Definitely want to do a series on them at some point. But yeah, lots of respect for both bands.
I think if you asked me a year ago, I probably would have said the Monkees. But I think because I've seen a couple of Beach Boys documentaries recently. Well, one of them was a biopic, Love and Mercy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've been listening to a lot of Beach Boys recently, so I'm going to have to go with them.
There you go.
I'm going to have to go with the Beach Boys.
Yep.
Especially with Pet Sounds as well.
Of course, yeah. It's hard to beat that one.
Yeah, but Scott did famously say, though, they made some of the best music ever, but then they made some of the worst music ever, too.
Summer in Paradise.
Yeah. What's that one for the album with the whale?
Yeah.
The Summer in Paradise.
Summer of Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a love thing.
So I'll go with my first pick. And these are both bands with very talented musicians. That's Led Zeppelin or The Who.
I already know Nick's choice.
I know what Nick's answer is. The Who, of course.
Of course, it's The Who. It's pretty self-explanatory for me.
Yeah, I gotta go with The Who as well. Even though, Zeppelin, of course, they're they're one of the biggest bands out there. But I think in recent time I've grown. I mean, my respect for the Who has really gone up in like the past couple of years. Just kind of deep diving them. It was kind of thanks to like that ranking with Nick and Scott originally that kind of gave me that opportunity to explore them more and kind of really start to find there's some other really great stuff. Of course, there's Who's Next. Of course, there's Tommy. Those big albums. But of course, there's other underrated albums like the Who Sell Out and Quadrophenia, and even the Who by Numbers. I'd say is really underrated. And just the songwriting from Pete is just I find a bit more interesting at times than Led Zeppelin. And just most of the time, if I'm in a mood between those two bands, I'm most likely just going to go with the Who because they're kind of a band I kind of relate to more. So I'm going to go with the Who.
I think I've got to be in the mood for Led Zeppelin. Whereas the Who, I can listen to them anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Led Zeppelin and the Who are a good matchup, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you've got two of the greatest drummers of all time with both those bands, and yeah.
Of course, it's our opinion. Whoever's watching this, of course, there's gonna be some Zeppelin fans that are.
I feel like the majority would say Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people to go with Led Zeppelin on that one. But what's your next pick, Bryer?
Okay, so I decided to go more of a hard rock side of things. Nothing too heavy though. I decided to go with. It was kind of tough trying to find acts that are kind of similar because I want to get some other bands in here. I'll go with this one. I have Aerosmith or AC/DC. They're kind of in the hard rock vein, kind of bluesy originally. So yeah, I'm kind of curious with that one.
Well, as someone who deep dived both bands, I feel like I'm probably the most qualified to give you an answer to this. I'm gonna go with Aerosmith. I like AC/DC. Of course, I did the series with Tyler over on my channel for AC/DC. At some point, I definitely want to do Aerosmith because they're a must-do band on a YouTube channel. I think AC/DC is a really good rock band. If I want to listen to them rock out, I'll put on AC/DC. But at the end of the day, I think Aerosmith has a little more variety. Of course, they had the early bluesy era, blues rock era. Of course, from the debut, kind of like to draw the line, I'd say. Then I'd say, Permanent Vacation, Pump and Get a Grip. Their sound starts to change, but to me, they always had a great sound, even when they kept changing. With the exceptions of Just Push Play and Honking on Bobo, those albums are terrible. But I think their albums are just really good, and I think Aerosmith needs to get more praise on the albums because I think very underrated.
Well, I'm only really familiar with the hits on both bands, and I think I'm going to go with AC/DC. Actually,
yeah,
I prefer seeing their live performances on YouTube. They've always got some really great live performances.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. I think I'd give the edge slightly to AC/DC because, at least to me, I feel goes without saying, in terms of consistency, they didn't really change their sound too much, really at all, which is to some people that's like a fault to them. But it's just fun, just hard rock. You're not meant to take it seriously. It's just just kind of listen to it, just to rock out, just have a good time. Aerosmith early on were pretty kind of similar to that. There was a lot of course, drugs played a role, but besides that, but yeah, I think the reason why I find AC/DC, I prefer AC/DC because with Aerosmith, again, I think it's pretty well known with me is that half of the catalog I really like a lot. Then the other half I'm not that into. Like I'd say when you get to Pump, that's kind of when it starts to lose me. Like pretty much, Get a Grip. I don't mind too much. There's some good songs on it, but after that, that's when I'm like, yeah, this is not the band. This is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm gonna give that. I would say AC/DC just by a hair.
You mind if I do one? 'Cause
Yeah,
I just
sure.
thought of
Yeah,
one.
sure. Go
Uh,
ahead.
ABBA versus the Mamas and the Papas,
Mm,
because
I'm
they
gonna.
both have 2 men, 2 females in both.
that's
Yeah.
true. I know Adam has
Mm.
like a ABBA comparison in a bit.
Yeah, I think I'll probably do mine next, rather.
Yeah.
But I think for this one, oof, it's a
I
tough
think
one.
I think I'm gonna go ABBA.
Yeah, I think I probably will too.
'Cause
I've
I
heard
think
more of their albums.
yeah. I mean with ABBA, I mean Mamas and Papas are great, but you know, they get to I'd say by the time they get to like I mean the third I'm trying to how do I phrase it? Like I feel like ABBA, I feel like I have a lot more fun. It's a bit more fun to listen to. Like I can listen to ABBA any time of the day and I'll be in a good mood. And you know, it's and just and with Moms and Papas, you know, again, there's some great vocals in there too, but I don't know, there's just something about them. Like I only go back to like maybe 2 albums at most. Like the first 2 albums I go back to a lot, and then the rest is kind of like more like pick or choose songs. With ABBA, I feel like, and I have listened to all the ABBA albums, and so there's really no album where I'll be like, I think I'll skip that one. Like any day, I can probably pick an album and then just listen to it, and just
Yeah.
yeah,
But at some point, I'm going to listen to all the Mamas and the Papas albums. I've
Yeah, they only have
already heard one of theirs.
yeah,
5, so it's gonna be easy for you.
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, I'm gonna have to go ABBA. They're my third favorite artists, only slightly behind the Who and Queen, of course. Yeah, I mean, come on, ABBA is just like one of those groups that I think their sound is just so lovable. You know, I could be in a really pissed off mood and someone puts on like Dancing Queen or any like Mamma Mia, and I instantly puts me in a good mood. Uh, I whenever someone says they don't like ABBA, I'm like, you're lying to yourself. Lighten up a little bit. They're just one of those kind of groups where you just how can you not like them?
Yeah.
Mamas and Papas, I think their second album I like the best out of all the albums that each of them make. Out of the two, like the self-titled second album, of course, watch me and Brier's review on that on my channel. I really love that album, but overall, I mean, the third album, nowhere near strong. And the fourth album, I have to be in the mood for the fourth album. And the fifth album, I just straight up don't like at all. Contract obligation album. It's not Mardi Gras level bad or Summer in Paradise level bad, but it's not an album that I expect from the Mamas and Papas. With ABBA, I agree, Bryer. I could put on any ABBA album and enjoy it. Even the most recent album, Voyage.
Yeah.
I love that album.
I enjoy that one.
So yeah, to me, it's pretty clear.
Well, I'll stick with the ABBA theme, and I'm going to go with ABBA or the Bee Gees.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to go with ABBA. I mean, I just said their favorite band, only behind the other two. I mean, Bee Gees. I love the Bee Gees. Big fan of the Bee Gees. I love their early stuff. Their early Baroque period. I like their ballad period in the early 70s. I know Bryer would like that. It's just like slower songs. Probably not my go-to period personally. I like ballads, but not when the whole album's a ballady type album. But I love their disco period. Love it. Main Course, Children of the World, Spirits Having Flown. Those are amazing albums. Watch me, Bryer, and Scott's review on Spirits Having Flow. That's a great review. Even their post-disco stuff, I get enjoyment from, like songs like Alone and One. Great stuff. But again, for the reasons I put ABBA over the Mamas and Papas is the reason why I'll put them over the Bee Gees.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the same. I think ABBA is gonna have that slight edge. Again, I mean the Bee Gees are great. I mean, I haven't really listened to a ton of their albums, but their hits, I mean, the hits are always like really great. I mean, I have like a Greatest Hits compilation 2 CD pack, and really, there's no song on there I don't like on them. But yeah, it's just I don't know. This one just comes down to preference. Like again, if I'm gonna choose either band, I'm probably gonna go with ABBA just by default because I don't know, they have that sound that I like a bit more. But of course, nothing against the Bee Gees. Like, I mean, their songwriting is just legendary. I mean, even outside of the Bee Gees, like all members wrote songs for other people, which also became huge hits. But yeah, again, both great bands. But yeah, just gonna give that slight edge to ABBA.
You know, before Adam gives his choice, one thing I love about ABBA is that they kind of have they have like that kind of grandiose feel that Queen has at times. Maybe that's why I'm so biased towards them, because they kind of remind me of Queen that just a tad bit on some songs. Like Chiquitita sounds like something Freddie would write for someone. Not like I wouldn't see Queen doing Chiquitita, but it sounds like something Freddie would write for another artist. So maybe that's why that's why I really like ABBA, because on the deep cuts or even some of their hits, you could get hints of Queen a little bit. So that's just my thoughts.
Well, I've actually been getting really into both bands this year. I'm actually going to go with the Bee Gees. Yeah.
Great choice.
I like all the roots of the Bee Gees, but it's their early albums that I'm especially a big fan of. A few days ago, I heard Horizontal for the first time, and I thought that was amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Bee Gees, but I think they're both pretty much neck and neck though.
Horizontal is a great album.
If I were to rank them as favorite bands, they'll both be probably next to one another.
All right, next up. I'm next.
Yeah.
All right, next up. And this next one I'm going to do is kind of almost a stretch. I guess I need to pick two 70s bands. So I have Fleetwood Mac or Heart. And I went with that because, they both have prominent female members in their, so I guess that's kind of like my only real comparison. Again, I really had a hard time picking a band. I knew I wanted Fleetwood Mac in there, but it was kind of hard picking a band to go against them.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna have to go Fleetwood Mac. I don't know enough Heart to really compare the two. I mean, I love Fleetwood Mac a lot. I like some of their early blues stuff. I really like the Bob Welch period stuff. That's my personal favorite period of the band. The Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks period, iconic for a good reason. What I love about both Bob Welch and Lindsey Buckingham's periods is that Christine McVie is just pumping out great music as well. So to me, it's no competition because I don't know enough Heart, and I just like Fleetwood Mac a lot. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Fleetwood Mac. I can only name about 2 Heart songs. I think my favorite period of Fleetwood Mac is their Lindsey Buckingham period with 2 classic albums. They're self-titled, and of course Rumours, but Tango in the Night is up there as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with Fleetwood Mac.
All right.
So my final pick. Oh, it's not my final pick, but my next pick for bands, and that's the Byrds or the Eagles. I'm going with 2 bird-themed bands.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with the Byrds for this one. I like the Eagles. Me and Adam are doing it. We started a series a while back on the Eagles. We definitely got to continue that at some.
We're gonna do that at some point.
We reviewed their first 2 albums in one video. I like Desperado a lot. I give that a 10, and I really like Hotel California and One of These Nights. But to me, the Byrds' first 6 albums, and even an album or 2 after the first 6 albums, I really enjoy. Of course, Mr. Tambourine Man is an album that I really love. It's like that folk rock that I really love from the American bands around this time. Turn, 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 I enjoyed a lot. Not as much as I did the first album. Fifth Dimension is a great album, minus the Learjet song at the end. But the 2 albums that really stand them out is, the 3 albums for me, Younger Than Yesterday, Sweetheart of the Rodeo, and Notorious Bird Brothers. Those 3 albums are killer albums, especially Sweetheart of the Rodeo. That has actually become my favorite Byrds album recently. I am a sucker for rock bands becoming country, hence why I love Buku's Blues by Ringo so much. Outside of those big albums, I like their self-titled reunion album at the end. Ballad of Easy Rider, underrated album. I encourage anyone listening to that if you have not.
That's my favorite Birds album.
That's a great album. But they do have some pretty bad albums like Burt Maniacs, Farther Along. Those are pretty terrible albums. Even Dr. Birds and Mr. Hyde has some pretty terrible tracks on there. Like My Back Pages suite at the end that I really didn't care for. Of course, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins is pretty terrible too. So they've had some pretty terrible album closers, I will admit, but overall, I quite enjoyed the Birds.
Okay.
I think I'm actually going to have to go with the Eagles because I've heard all their albums. And I think I just probably would rather listen to the Eagles and the Birds.
That's fair.
Probably because I think the Eagles have got more ballads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, another thing is I have a little bit of a bias because me and Breyer's very first series was on the Birds, so
yeah,
I'm a little more biased towards the Birds as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I'm actually gonna go with Eagles too, and pretty much the main reason I'm gonna give them the edge is because I have a history with them. You know, I grew up listening to them. My mom was a big fan of them.
and you live in California.
And I live in California too, so I guess that's another reason you can say. But yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to the Hotel California growing up a lot, and so yeah, I just always had that. That was always that. The Eagles were always there when I was growing up, and of course, as getting older, you kind of listen to their catalog, and you find other great songs and albums. You have yeah, the Desperado, of course, and then trying to think, what were the On the Borders? I also really enjoyed as well. And The Long Run, also pretty good album. But anyway, but still, I just think that they have a pretty good catalog with the Birds. And yeah, I mean, Nick brought up the series we did, our first series, and that series gave me a bigger appreciation for the Birds. And I do enjoy their sound a lot. But yeah, again, it's kind of a preference thing. Even though there's a lot of albums that the Birds made that I really enjoy, and Nick has also mentioned the ones that aren't as good. But yeah, I just think the Eagles just have more songs that I'm gonna go back to more often, and more albums I'll go back to often. And the Birds, I'm mainly gonna stick with maybe the first 5, and then maybe Ballad of Easy Rider, and that's and maybe their final album, maybe Once in the Blue Moon. But other than that, I'm gonna give the edge to the Eagles.
That's fair.
Right, so I think it's your turn. Choose another one.
All right, next back to me. My last one. Okay, this one I had to go with some AOR or arena rock, whatever you want to call it. And this is kind of a cliched one. These two bands get brought up a lot in that sort of like late 70s, early 80s rock scene. We have Foreigner or Journey.
Oh, easily Journey.
Yeah, I know Nick's answer.
Journey is so easy because I like all their albums. I'm not saying I love all their albums, but all their albums, not a terrible album in their discography. Of course, they have the early period, which it's more artsy rock. Some people will consider it to be their prog rock period. I wouldn't consider it to be prog at all. Their original singer was good. I feel like the early period would even be better if Steve Perry was singing those songs, but that's just me. Once he actually does join the band, though, that's when the band gets really good. Infinity, Evolution, Departure, Escape, and Frontiers. All 5 of those albums are classics. Talk to any Journey fan who actually is a fan of the group. They'll be like, yeah, those 5 albums. Of course, even the albums after that, like Raised on Radio, Trial by Fire, those are underrated albums. I think those albums get hate on way too much. I'm like, I don't get it. I think lots of great songs on those albums. Of course, you got the later period, New Singer, like Revelation, Eclipse, and Freedom. Those are amazing albums too. I'm like, they changed so much lead vocals, and all of them are great. Besides maybe the first lead singer, I'm not a fan of his at all, but the music in the first period is still great. With Foreigner, Foreigner, I've said this before to Scott and Bryer. They just keep progressively getting weaker and weaker for me. The first album is amazing. I think the first album's like, to me, easily their best album. Second album I like. I think it's a really good album, but it's a little weaker. Head Game's a lot weaker. 4, I could really care less about that album. And Agent Provocateur, I really do not like that album. And it just I didn't listen to anything after Agent Provocateur, and I have no interest to because their albums just keep getting worse and worse and worse for me. It just I'm not a Foreigner guy. I just sometimes the lead vocalist could get to me in all the wrong ways. Yeah, I'm not a Foreigner guy.
Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I'm going to go with Foreigner.
I figured you would.
Because I only know a couple of Journey songs. And I've
Yeah.
actually seen Foreigner in concert with Europe at White Snake.
That's right.
Yeah, I figured you would because I know Journey doesn't have as much hits as Foreigner does.
So I'll go my final band pick, and that's Electric Light Orchestra or the Kinks.
Which one would you go for, by the way, Bryer? For Journey or Foreigner?
Yeah.
I'd go Journey still. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, with Journey, I know the discography a lot more. And yeah, between singers, I mean, I still think Lou Graham's a great singer. I do like his voice a lot, but I do prefer Steve Perry. He's definitely up there. And of course, I like their hits a lot more. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I still like Foreigner though. But yeah, anyway, moving on.
To answer Adam's battle, I'm gonna go with the Kinks. I knew you guys would expect that. First I'll give why I didn't choose Electric Light Orchestra. I think their albums are fine. I heard the 4 album run from Face the Music, New World Record, Out of the Blue, and Discovery. I listened to those albums and I'm just happy with listening to them. I'm like, they're good. I'll occasionally listen to the other ones. I'll listen to one of the 4, but they're not a band that I really have interest in deep diving anytime soon because I don't know if I respect them a lot. I think the orchestration stuff is amazing. I like that, but I don't know if it's because I'm not a fan of the lead singer, Jeff Lynne, or just production reasons. I've just never attached to the ELO like I always try to attach myself to them, but for some reason I can't really. Over on the Kinks, though, I listened to their discography like 3 times now. Once on my own, once with Jason, and another time after doing it with Jason. So, big Kinks fan. Of course, I love their 60s albums. Of course, Face to Face, Something Else, Village Green, Arthur, Lola. Those are the big albums that I always refer to. That's like the big 5 for the Kinks. Even outside that, like Sleepwalker and Give the People What They Want, Word of Mouth. Even those are some great albums too. Misfits. I just think they put out a lot better albums. I mean, I will admit they got pretty crappy in the mid 70s with the big theatrical period. Like Preservation Act 1 and 2 are trash albums. I hate those albums with burning passion because they're trying to be like Pete Townsend, but it just comes off terribly. Soap Opera is an okay album, and Schoolboys and Disgrace is the best of that theatrical stuff. Besides that, I just think the Kinks just have a lot better songs, and I think their albums are just more interesting, if you're asking me.
Well, I'm actually going to go with ELO. I didn't finish listening to all their albums, but I do love the Kinks as well. So I made a difficult one for myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna have to go with ELO.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with ELO as well. I'm still kind of somewhat new to the Kinks. I mean, I listen to their big albums, of course, and I have a couple of their kind of 80s stuff. And I enjoyed those too, but yeah, I just kind of like ELO's sound a bit more. It kind of speaks to me more. Again, I respect the Kinks a lot, but yeah, haven't quite fully clicked with me quite yet.
That's basically how you said it, bro. It's like how I am with ELO.
Yeah.
It's like I want to love I want to love ELO, but ELO just for some reason I haven't clicked with them quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we talked about which bands do we think are better, but we're now going to do the same for artists.
All right. Okay, so I'll start this one, and I'm going to start with the cliched one. These two get compared a lot, very much a lot, because they both on piano. Elton John or Billy Joel?
For me, I'm gonna have to go with Billy Joel. I grew up listening to his albums.
Yeah, because you're kind of near New York, so
I mean,
of course he's
on.
like idolized in New York.
I mean, come on. The stadium I go to watch Ranger games is where he performs. So, kind of an easy answer for me. Even taking the New York aspect of it away, just go to the music side of things. I will say, I think Billy Joel is slightly better of a piano player than Elton. Songs like "The Angry Young Man," like, come on, that and I think like "Root Beer Float" or whatever, where he does that instrumental where he goes absolutely crazy on the piano. It just comes down to being biased. Of course, like I said, I grew up listening to Billy Joel. Elton John, I knew the big hits like Rocky Man and Bunny and the Jets, but I just find Billy Joel to be more consistent. Elton John, well, I will say Elton John's best albums are the best. That early 70s period, early to mid 70s is peak Elton John, and I think in terms of solo artists, I don't think a lot of artists could come close to doing what he was able to do. But after that, he loses me. At that point, you just pick or choose the albums.
I'm not as into his 80s and 90s stuff.
Like "Victim of Love" is terrible. That there's like this one after "Too Low for Zero." I do not like either. I think it's like "Broken Heart" or whatever. I mean, he just made some of the best music, but just like the Beach Boys, he made some of the worst music too. So, to me, I have to go with Billy Joel because Billy Joel, I feel like, had a really solid career throughout.
I thought you were actually going to go with Elton John.
Yeah, I wanted to give it to Elton, but bias reasons and the fact that Elton John kind of went on for a little too long.
Well, I'm going to go with Elton John. His lows are probably lower, but his highs are higher. That 70s period, yeah, he was just on fire with everything he was doing.
All right, yeah. So we have someone near New York who went with Billy Joel, and we have someone from England who went Elton John.
Yeah.
So what does a Californian think?
He's gonna go with Elton Joel.
Elton Joel.
Elton Joel. That should be a stage name. Or Billy John. I don't know.
Billy John, yeah.
Even though this is a cliche comparison, people always make this comparison. And it's kind of cliched, but honestly, it's actually a tough one for me because I'll be honest. I always flip flop. It always depends who I'm into at the time. Because I think in terms of hits, I think I prefer Elton, but I think musically I prefer Billy. So it's a tough call. So I gotta go with what I'm feeling currently, and I think again it's a tough one, but I think by a hair, I think I'll still go Billy Joel. Again, I really love Elton a lot, but I think Nick said it pretty well. I think terms of discographies, I think Billy has the more consistent discography. Even though Elton had a great consistency period in the 70s, after that, when you get to like the late 70s, that's kind of when things get very spotty. But Billy Joel, I mean, it helped that he didn't release as many albums, and so he didn't really get a chance to make a truly terrible album. But yeah, just musically, I think it's just very good. Songwriting spectacular. I do like his voice a lot as well. And yeah, just I'll give Billy Joel the edge today, but who knows? It could change tomorrow.
Did any of you
Mike in chat.
guys?
Hello, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hello. Did any of you guys do any solo Beatle guys against another solo Beatle member? Okay.
Pretty soon we will. I know.
I did, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you guys did, because if not, I would have did my own.
Got it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. See, if someone puts that argument for Elton John, I could totally get that, because those albums are really good, and like Bryer said, he hasn't had enough albums. I mean, the closest album that I say was pretty bad was probably that one album, Stormfront. I'd say that's probably the closest to a bad album he's made. But I don't know. If anyone has that argument for Elton, I totally get that.
Well, I'll go my first artist pick, and that's sticking with the theme of Billy Joel. I'm probably the only one that's going to go with the other option, and that's Roy Orbison.
Yeah, for me, it's easy. I'm gonna have to go with the first option, because, not gonna lie, don't really care for Roy Orbison. I think he has like one song that I think is okay, and that's Pretty Woman. I don't really care for Roy's style, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, I'm also gonna give it to Billy, and I do like some Roy Orbison. I don't mind. I like a lot of his stuff. I haven't heard a ton of stuff, but Billy Joel, I just have more history with. I listen to Billy way more than I do Roy Orbison. But yeah, but again, I do like some Roy every once in a while, but it's not really an artist I go to on the regular.
Well, I'm going to go with the big O, Roy Orbison. He's got one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite solo artists of all time. He's in my opinion, the greatest vocalist of all time. But I do the Billy Joel as well. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Roy Orbison.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. I was expecting that.
Yeah.
All right, back to me. Okay, let's since Am did Roy Orbison, kind of a big name in the early rock and roll scene. Let's keep this early rock and roll train going. Let's go with Little Richard or Chuck Berry.
Oh,
nice!
Great
nice comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Chuck Berry. I've heard more Chuck Berry albums than I did Little Richard albums. But having that said, it's still a tough choice, because I think Little Richard, man, he has chops. Really, yeah, he's like one of the greatest vocalists to come to the early scene. Like, as a vocalist, I think he's way better than Chuck Berry. But I guess it comes down to is the guitar playing. I think Chuck Berry's guitar style is so iconic. Like, Roll Over Beethoven. Everyone knows Johnny Be Good.
Yeah,
it's an iconic song. I don't think there's really any Little Richard song that people recognize. I mean, maybe Long Tall Sally, but
Tutti Frutti.
Maybe Tutti Frutti, but I feel like Chuck Berry just has more iconic songs as well. I mean, that shouldn't affect whether they're better or not, but I guess I'll go with the more guitar eccentric person than the more vocal, I guess, but both are great though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chuck Berry as well. One of the great singers and songwriters of the 1950s, definitely.
Yeah. So for me, I'm actually will go Little Richard, because I think Nick mentioned it. I think vocally I prefer Little Richard than Chuck, and also just stage presence. I also gravitate a bit more because he's got that flamboyance, larger than life personality. I mean, you can see where people like Elton John and Freddie Mercury got their inspiration from. Yeah, and just like, yeah, I think he's a lot of fun, especially when we see footage of him. He's just seems it would seem like it seems like it would have been a very wild, very great show. And yeah, just a very fun artist. And with Chuck, he's also, again, his guitar playing is definitely influential, and his stage presence in his own right is pretty up there, highly regarded. But yeah, I think Little Richard just has that kind of that charm that I kind of gravitate more, and maybe and possibly Chuck Berry
No,
might be.
very.
Yeah, there you go. But who knows? But then there's also that thing that Chuck Berry's not that good of a person privately. But then again, Little Richard, I'm not sure. Haven't looked into that one. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Little Richard.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
Well, I'll go my next choice. It's two Canadian singer-songwriters. That's Neil Young or Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, for me it's easy.
I mean, for me it's easy. I'm gonna go Neil Young because I don't know enough Joni Mitchell to give a fair comparison to. That's if I had to pick. To be honest, I can't really give a definitive answer. But if I were to have to pick, it would definitely be Neil Young.
Yeah, I'll go with Neil Young as well.
I'm actually gonna go with Joni.
I knew you were gonna pick Joni.
Yeah.
I'll be getting really into both of them, but I'm gonna have to go with Neil Young. But I can see where you go with Joni Mitchell, though.
Maybe at some point, me and Bryer should do a series on her.
Yeah, I'm down for that one. Yeah, but Joni, I think it comes down to, like, vocally, I think Joni has a better voice. I mean, Neil's got a good voice too. I mean, his voice is very unique. But I feel like Joni's voice speaks to me a bit more. And her songwriting and lyrics are also, I also gravitate a lot more. I kind of relate to them a lot more often than Neil's. But again, both of them, both great singer-songwriters in their own right. But for me, it's gonna go with Joni. I just have that more emotional attachment to her.
Guys, I gotta head out. It was nice being on with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, glad you can stop by.
I do have one more question for you guys. David Bowie versus Queen. That's my comparison.
Queen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Queen as well.
Okay, Queen then.
I think all three of us are gonna go with Queen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know
what I was gonna say.
I know what Bryer was.
You could pair Queen with anybody, and I would always say Queen.
Queen versus the Shags.
Actually,
I'm not even gonna answer that one.
I'm gonna have to go with the Shags. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
You too. See you tomorrow, Nick.
So,
all right.
Is it? Yes, it's your turn now.
It's my turn, yeah. All right. I'll go with these next. Okay, this next one might be easy for you because you're probably more familiar with one of them, with one of their solo careers more. Even if Jason was here, I feel like he wouldn't. I think it would be easy pick for him as well. But I just kind of had to go with another kind of somewhat cliche, even though musically they're kind of different. But they were originally from the same band. Phil Collins or Peter Gabriel.
Oof. That is quite a tough one, actually. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Phil Collins. I'm more familiar with his solo career.
Yeah, I mean, same boat. I'm more familiar with Phil. I mean, I've listened to a good chunk of Peter's solo stuff, and of course, Peter had big hits, Sledgehammer, In Your Eyes, and she did a song with Kate Bush, Don't Give Up, which I love as well.
Yeah.
But I think
it was a tough decision. It was a tough decision because of that song.
But yeah, Phil, I don't know. He just has, I don't know. I think vocally, I've always preferred Phil than Peter, even though Peter has a good voice in his own right. But Phil just has that charm that's kind of upbeats. Just has a good feel good, and even his ballads, I always prefer his ballads. Again, like as I say, I'm a sucker for ballads, and Phil was a big reason for that. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it to Phil.
Right, so I'll go my third last pick for the artist, and that's Bob Dylan or Paul Simon. Two of the greatest songwriters of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Bob Dylan. Kind of
Yeah,
Bob Dylan. I've always
I'll
had
go
that.
with Bob Dylan too.
Yeah, I think lyrically he's just more interest. Not this. I mean, that kind of sounds harsh. I mean, both of them are great lyricists. Like, and I will say, like, Paul Simon has written some songs that has definitely gotten to me deep down. Stuff like "Bridge Over Troubled Water" or "The Boxer" and songs like
Yeah,
that. But no, Bob Dylan just has that vibe. It's just that kind of that mysterious vibe. I have a
and
shirt. Of course, I have a Bob. I should have worn the Bob Dylan shirt, but it's just him in
he's
that
had
sunglasses, and it's
he's
just
had
that.
lots of
It's
different
just
periods, lots of
like,
different
yeah,
eras of Bob Dylan as well.
exactly. Like there's lot. I mean, he kind of goes through many
Yeah,
directions, and he just looks cool. He's just cool. And he's
yeah,
just a cool guy. I don't know if I would want to meet him because I feel like it'd be an awkward conversation, honestly. But still, he's a cool. Like I'd still be kind of nice to see him.
yeah. I'd be curious to see what he would say to us.
I know, kind of a man of few words from the looks of it.
So, what's your next choice?
All right, I have my last one, and honestly, this was kind of more catered to Jason if he was here. I kind of had this one with him in mind. But kind of we'll see. Maybe you'll have something. But I have Celine Dion or Whitney Houston.
I'm going to go Whitney Houston.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
recently
go.
heard a debut album for the first time,
Oh yeah,
and
okay.
I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's a tough one. I like both of them. I think both of them are great singers. Yeah, I think I'm gonna slightly give it to Whitney personally, even though I like a lot of Celine's stuff, a lot of her big songs. But I don't know. I think Whitney just has. I think vocally she has an edge that I kind of like
Yeah,
more.
probably.
Yeah, and then I think I listen to her ballads more than Celine Dion's, even though Celine's made some great ballads too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll give it to Whitney.
So I'll go my last choice. I'm curious to see what Nick would have gone with for this.
Mm.
That's John Lennon or Paul McCartney
Oh
for
yeah, that would
for their solo career.
I think I know what he would have picked. I
I
mean,
think
if you,
I think it would pick John.
yeah, I think. Then again, if we're talking about solo Beatles, like if we're just talking about the Beatles, he would say John. But in terms of solo, I think he would go Paul.
Because he does have the Tug of War album.
Yeah, I know he likes a lot of Paul. Like he likes a lot of the Wings stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Paul too.
Yeah, I
He's had
think
more
yeah.
music out there because of what happened to John, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta give it to Paul too. I mean, with Beatles and with him solo, yeah, I've always gravitated more towards Paul. Always liked his songwriting a bit more. And John, of course, has very unique songwriter. Definitely can't compare him with much else. But the reason why, but I think I don't really go with John too much, is because he's written some pretty questionable things. Then there's those experimental stuff, stuff with Yoko and stuff like that. That stuff kind of brings him down a lot. Um, and even and some of his lyrics probably didn't age that well. But but still, he's made. I mean, John has made some great songs solo as well, so I can't deny that. But in terms of like you said, again, with Paul, there's more. He has a lot more in his catalog and a lot of classic tracks in his own right. And yeah, it's gonna go ahead and give it to Paul.
I think John's a better songwriter, but Paul's a better one at coming up with
Mm,
with melodies.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I think we actually have caught up with all of our choices now.
Mm,
I think we've gone with all of yours as well.
yeah, I think I've gone through all mine.
So I wonder if anyone in the chat has got any for us to do
Yeah,
before we go ahead
maybe.
and conclude this.
Yeah, go ahead. So while we wait, anything coming up?
Yeah, I might as well mention what's coming up on my channel. So I've got a long list of live streams still to do. But I'll talk about some of the video ideas. I want to do one. Or when I saw the Lemon Twigs in concert. So
That'd be cool.
that'll be the next video I'll be doing. But I've also at some point want to do a video of the Eagles and ranking out their albums, and also on the Police as well.
Nice.
I might visit the house that Sting was brought up in, because it's not far from where I live.
Oh, wow, that's nice. That's awesome. That's cool.
I'll have to visit that in the video. What's coming on your channel?
All right, so for me, it's kind of this, nothing too crazy. I'm still uploading, but it's been mainly kind of smaller type videos. Just unboxing stuff here and there.
You
Terms of
got
like
a lot of CDs from that Mickey guy.
Oh yeah, I got more recently.
He's always sending you CDs.
Yeah, and I actually got a notification. He left a comment on that video, and he says he has 2 more packages set up already. One for October, and then another one in November. So, gonna be looking forward to those. Of course, I'll do videos on those when those come. And then it turns to like bigger stuff. I know I'm working on big stuff, but again, it's just been I've been busy with a lot of things. Balancing this YouTube, college, and I have a part-time job. It's hard to manage all of them. Luckily I know which one to pull back, which one to lean in on. But yeah, it's kind of made things a lot slower. But I hope to get to like bigger videos. Like I know I want to talk about. I did a poll on my channel not that long ago talking about worst song each album. And I think Genesis won. I know Genesis won that poll, so I'm gonna have to talk about them at some point. But I know I have a Taylor Swift series still. I'm trying to work on. I'm still writing that dang scripts, but hopefully I can get that done soon. But yeah, in terms of that, nothing else worth noting. Yeah, still trying to finalize that Patreon thing. Hope to get that either at the end of the year or beginning of next year. So we'll see how that goes.
I saw your Linkin Park video got 6.5 thousand views.
Oh yeah, I mean I kind of knew that was gonna get. I kind of knew because Linkin Park is kind of trending right now, so I knew it was kind of trying to chase views, but it was something I was kind of familiar with.
I've never had a video going up having that many views.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
Yeah, but yeah, I like Linkin Park, so it worked out.
Is that your most viewed video?
No, my most viewed video is when I unbox a Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah.
That's that 10K.
How many views did that one get?
That's 10,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've got anyone else. Any more comments in the chat? So I think we'll probably conclude the live stream here.
All right.
It was great to go ahead and do this.
Yeah, it was fun.
Unfortunate that Jason's power was an issue.
Yeah.
But luckily we got Nick to join for some of this.
Yeah, that was nice.
And maybe if Jason's watching, he can let us know his picks in the comment section, or we can go ahead and respond to them there.
All right.
But thanks everyone watching. Do you have any final words, Bryer?
You can comment below. Anybody watching the replay, which artist would you pick, or which band would you pick from our picks, from our choices here?
But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, peace out and ciao.